is the Fraser River, a beautiful and very important resource for Vancouver's Lower Mainland. It is a vital artery and supports Canada's most fertile agricultural land. Our fishing industry, several industrial ports, and related wood pulp and paper industries. The river and estuary give us many recreational opportunities and a rich environment for nature study. The beauty of the Fraser River, along with its numerous resources, has been seriously damaged by inadequate waste management and treatment, combined with poorly planned development. In light of these inadequacies, concerned community groups formed, and from them, the present Fraser River Coalition came into being. These people together have worked hard to combat the ongoing destruction of the river and its environment. Their diligent and consistent policing of the many polluting sites and offending companies, their watchful eye alert to the possibility of future contamination sites, as well as their involvement with all sectors of the government, is indicative of their commitment for a cleaner and safer tomorrow.
We had to keep pressuring. We have to keep a presence and let the bureaucrats know we're around. People want to be involved in decisions affecting the areas they love.
Anything one can do to protect and preserve fish habitat is almost automatically good for all other forms of wildlife, and it's good for human beings too.
You have to do your best to try and enhance the quality of the Fraser River environment. It's a constant struggle. You often have to make choices. Within 1 week you can have an issue pertaining to loss of habitat. You can have a loss of land because we're pretty committed to the maintenance of agricultural land. You can have a sewage dumping issue. And at that point you have to make choices as to which issue you're going to act upon at a given time. There's been some progress made, but by heck, the battle's nowhere near won, and we've got a lot more work to be done down on the river to get it where it should be and where we want it to be.
Household waste, industrial waste, and agricultural waste are the main sources of river contamination. Offshore dumping, sewage outfalls, wood waste, and landfill leachates continue to threaten the river. When the system at the Iona Sewage and Treatment Plant is overloaded, raw sewage is dumped into the North Arm. Around the outfall area, contamination is high. Mercury levels found in the fish at Sturgeon and Roberts Bank exceed food guidelines by 40 to 60%. Fish from these areas have been found to have tumors, typical of other areas that are heavily polluted. The public is not aware of these findings, and yet the fishing continues.
Unless we can get a conviction under Section 33 of affecting the waters, we seem to have little protection in terms of protecting the habitat itself. Lead in particular and other heavy metals are abnormally high in the tissues of the animals, which suggests that it's probably unhealthy for them and most decidedly unhealthy for any human beings who consume these metals, because they tend to bioaccumulate in the tissues of organisms up the food chain. Some of the fish, particularly in the Vancouver Harbour area, are developing abnormalities, tissue abnormalities, including grotesque tumors and cancers. That alone doesn't necessarily render the fish unfit for consumption. Whatever is in that animal that's causing those tissues should be ascertained and any risk to human beings minimized. And that means we've got to have a whole new look at our waste disposal systems.
In 1984, they wanted to put landfills in the beautiful marsh areas of Pit Polder. They wanted to put them out on a bend on the Fraser River at Fort Langley. They're trying to extend Burns Bog as part of a new plan. The leachates from landfills can directly kill fish. Leachates are the result of rain falling on the garbage sitting in the landfill, and also from the liquids that are within the garbage itself. And these seep out naturally underneath the landfill or out the sides towards the streams and the rivers like the Fraser River.
Many Surrey streams, particularly Bear Creek and Highland Creek, are damaged by spills. A PCP spill in Highland Creek resulted in several fish kills, and rusty barrels are found on the site 2 years later. Fish populations in the Brunette River were restored by government staff and volunteers, only to be completely obliterated by the carelessness of an unknown discharger. Toxic materials such as copper, lead, and zinc all reach the Fraser through our sewage and storm drains. We need to take action to eliminate these toxicants at their source. These are but a few of the violations that are having a disastrous effect upon our environment, habitat, and the water quality in the Fraser River, consequently affecting both you and me.
Well, there's two basic problems as I see it in the Lower Fraser system, and they are related. One, of course, is the straight water quality, sediment quality, contaminants accumulated in fish tissue and things like that, the sort of what we call the water pollution problem. The other main issue is the habitat and the habitat degradation problem. That's where basically a small marsh disappears there, marinas develop there, some intertidal mudflats are destroyed there. It's not that any one of those projects is destroying the system, but when you start adding them all up together, it can have a catastrophic effect. And I think, looking at those two specific issues, I think probably the habitat problem is a much more important one, and one we really got to deal with. Then we can approach some of the more subtle problems, like some of these trace organic contaminants, and what we should do about that. And mainly, to a large degree, in most cases, it's a matter of source control, using alternative materials or being very careful when we do use those materials to make sure they don't get into the environment. Any program to upgrade either Anasis or to put Iona Island in a long pipe should be well integrated with the source control program. If they're not, I think basically those people who make decisions are missing the ball. There's adequate technology available to treat those wastes. All we're doing is the least cost method of diluting it down and mixing it with fairly non-toxic domestic waste before it goes into a sewage treatment plant. So we have the technology available. Our biggest problem is we're still using almost Stone Age technology. I've just been on sabbatical in the States, University of Florida. I don't think there's a sewage treatment plant in the whole state of Florida that doesn't treat their waste at least to the secondary level before it's discharged. When I told my colleagues in the States that all we had was primary treatment to treat wastewaters from our large city complex, they thought it was almost criminal. Fortunately, we don't use the Fraser River water system for a drinking water supply, or we'd certainly have alternative sewage treatment, I'll tell you.